Blogging burnout. How does it manifest itself? How can you overcome it? And why does it happen? That's what we're going to talk about in today's video. So let's get into this. Hi and welcome back to my channel again. Today we're going to talk about particularly blogging burnout. There's also YouTube burnout and burnout in general. But we're going to focus today on blogging burnout. And it's something that I have covered before on my channel because I come across burnout quite often. I know I always come across as very positive and very happy and very go get it, but I get burnout as well. And I know there's lots of other people in our industry that also get blogging burnout.
I'm a bit behind on videos. I've not had much inspiration.
So I think it's a topic that is worth covering. But before we do, I want to remind you, stay tuned to the end of the video. I'm going to do another YouTube channel shout out. Another affiliate marketing YouTube channel that you might find interesting. So stay tuned to the end. So let's talk about blogging burnout. Like I said, there are various types of burnout you can get. Business burnout, YouTube burnout, burnout in general. But today, blogging burnout is what I'm going to focus on because there are some ways it manifests itself that you need to look for and spot those signs. And there are also some things that you can do to try and overcome it. Now, I'm going to say overcome it because I don't think you can ever stop it. I have tried to do all the things that people say. Carl, just be happy. Carl, just get on with it. Carl, just push through those barriers. But sometimes you just can't stop it. And I think it's important to address and tackle the issues that you may be facing. Now, I am no doctor or psychologist or therapist or anything like that, so I'm just going to tell you how blogging burnout affects me, how I deal with it, how it manifests itself in my life, and hopefully some of the tips or some of the experiences I share with you might help you or resonate with you in your own personal journey. So how does blogging burnout manifest with me? What are the signs? How does it affect me? Number one, a lack of motivation to publish content. Suddenly you wake up and all that motivation to sit down and type away for 2-3 hours non-stop, get that article published, particularly if it's not a topic that you're really interested in, is really hard to do. And I face that on a regular basis, particularly when I first started and I was publishing all my own content. It's very difficult to actually push through and continue writing when you haven't got the motivation to do so. And number two, I feel like a failure. I feel like I haven't achieved what I set out to do. I feel like I'm falling behind. I feel like I'm not hitting my goals. It's just an overwhelming sense of I'm just not doing good. And number three, anger. I find whenever I'm coming towards blogger burnout, I start to get a little bit more angry. I get snappy with my family. I get aggressive in the conversations that I'm having. I start arguing points that I just are silly and they just don't need to be addressed. But I find myself like jumping in and arguing these points. But my family have learned that when that happens, they will tell me. And number four, lack of progression. I get to the point where I feel I'm just not progressing. My business isn't growing. I'm not getting enough content out there. And it's just an overwhelming sense of not achieving things. Now, whether that is founded or not, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I'm just not progressing when actually I am. If an external person looks into my business, they'd probably think, wow, look what you've achieved this week. I just get that feeling that it's not good enough and I've not done enough. And number six, feel like an imposter. Whenever I get blogger burnout, I start to feel that I'm just not worthy. I'm just not cut out to do this. I can't compete against others and I'm just not at the top of my game. For whatever reason, that blogging burnout just gives me that overwhelming sense of failure. And number six, abandon and give up. Whenever I feel like I'm getting blogging burnout, I tend to have a habit of giving up on a project, abandoning something that is actually working or positively growing, but I just give up and move on to the next thing. So I may be doing a big push on Pinterest, and when blogging burnout hits, I just think, that's not working. I give up, I leave it, and I move on to something else. And finally, number seven, emotions all over the place. For some reason, when I'm going through blogging burnout, I can wake up feeling happy as anything. I walk downstairs, I sit at my computer, and within reading 3 emails, I've sunk into sadness. For some reason, I get this overwhelming rush of, everything's horrible, nothing's right, and I just can't seem to get over it no matter what I do. So why do we actually get blogging burnout? And remember, these are just my experiences. This is just what I feel causes my burnout. And number one, my websites are not growing fast enough. Good is never good enough. When I reach blogging burnout, I just feel like no matter how much my websites are growing, they could always be doing more. And it's a silly thing to think, because you can look at your analytics and you can see that you're 10% up on last month, or you're 20% up on last month. But when you're in blogger burnout, it just isn't enough. Nothing is ever good enough, and I just don't feel like my websites are growing fast enough. And number two, not making enough money. When you're in that burnout phase, nothing is ever enough. Financially, you want more and more and more. You may have set yourself a goal of earning $100 that month, and you might have actually made $150, but it's just not enough. When you're in that burnout stage, you just feel like nothing's ever good enough, and you haven't achieved what you wanted to, when actually you probably have. And number three, writer's block. In the midst of blogger burnout, often just topics and subjects just do not come into your head. Maybe you can't find those keywords, maybe you can't find those article titles to go after, or you just can't think of anything good to do. And you just feel lost, like there's nowhere to go, there's no way to go forward, there's no topics or subjects you can cover, it all just goes out of your head. And number four, criticism slows us down. Sometimes it just takes one person to give you a little bit of feedback or a little bit of criticism, and poof, your head goes. You just lose the plot, you lose all motivation, you feel like a failure, when actually possibly the feedback that they're giving you is really positive and actually is true, and it can open your eyes to what's wrong on your website or your business. But that little bit of criticism can really hurt, and it can really stop you in your tracks. And number five, technical issues. We've all faced it. Hosting goes down, or there's a technical issue on your website, a plugin fails, or you get hacked. Something technical happens and it is the end of the world. That clarity has gone out of your head. Normally, when you're in a good frame of mind and you are not in blogger burnout, you often just look for the solution, find a cure, find a fix, and you sort it out. But when you're in the midst of blogger burnout, it just seems overwhelming and too much to handle. And number six, things that are out of our control. There are things you just cannot avoid. Google updates springs to mind. We've all been hit with them. We've all been affected negatively by something that's happened that is simply out of our control. And when that happens, it's often enough to really put you deep down in that blogging burnout. And number seven, we judge ourselves. Now, this happens to me a lot, and I know it happens to a lot of other, particularly YouTubers, that you start to judge yourself. You judge yourself against others, you judge yourself against yourself, and you're battling those emotions of, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy. They all come flooding to you. And number eight, competition steps up. Often the competition will step up their game, or you'll notice that you are being outranked with some of your blog content. And that is enough sometimes when you're in blogger burnout to actually send you into that spiral of, I'm not going to say depression, but certainly sad emotions. You constantly fighting that battle of somebody else is doing better than me, and that could be one of the emotions that comes over stronger than ever when you're in that blogger burnout. Number nine, family or work commitments. Often we just have too much going on in our family life and in our work life to focus on our business. And that can obviously send you into a little bit of a lull, a little bit of a low period where you feel like you've just got so much going on, so many external commitments that you just can't focus on your business. It's on your mind that you want to do that. It's on your mind that you've got all these things and tasks you want to do, but you just can't physically do them. And that can send you into burnout. So how can we overcome blogger burnout? Now notice I said overcome rather than stop or prevent, because I don't think there is any way sometimes of stopping it. No matter how successful my week's been, no matter how much money I'm making, sometimes I'm hit with this burnout. I just don't know where it comes from sometimes, and often it's just totally out of the blue. But there are some things I've learnt to do to control it a little bit and hopefully ease the impact it has on you when it hits. Number one, set yourself realistic goals. So right from the very start, write down your expectations and your goals for your website. When I first started, I remember thinking to myself, oh, if I could only hit $10 a week, that would be great. That will give me that little bit of extra income to spend on my family and the things I like to do in life. And then that hit, and then I was getting frustrated that I wasn't doing $20 and $30. And you need to stop and think to yourself, wait a minute, my expectations and my goals was $10. I've hit that, I should be happy with that. And when you look back on those goals and those expectations, then you realize how much you've achieved. And number two, stop comparing yourself to others. Now, I am guilty of this, particularly with my YouTube side of my business, but also with my blogs. I look at other websites, let's say in the pet niche, and I think, why are they doing so good? Why can't I be just like them? How are they doing it? And I spend hours and hours and hours worrying how well this other person's doing rather than thinking about my own business. Stop worrying about what other people are doing. Stop worrying about what content they're making and how they're doing it. Just focus on your own business. Now that particularly happens to me in YouTube. I think of an idea and then I see somebody else is doing it. Well, obviously somebody else is going to be doing it because it's such a small niche that we work in and my business is built around, that somebody will have covered the topic that I was thinking of. And then I think, oh, I'm not going to do it now. And I just stop and I just don't do it. When actually my audience might really like it. They may like my outlook or perspective on the topic rather than this other YouTuber. But because they've made it, I think, oh, I shouldn't make it. And it prevents me on actually pushing my business forward. So stop looking at your competitors. And number three, take time out. Now, I know this seems silly to say because you may only have a limited amount of time to work on your blog. So it's difficult for me to say take some time out. But you do really need to remember one thing. Your website will still be there tomorrow. I'm always in a rush to get that content out, press publish. Even if possibly it's not as good as it can be, I'm in a hurry to publish. When really, if I take 24 hours, 48 hours, push it to one side for a bit, come back to it later, it's often the best thing to do because I come back to it with clear eyes and I spot errors, I spot mistakes, I spot opportunities. Because I've taken that time out, clarity has come back to me and actually it ends up being the best thing to do. So if you feel overwhelmed, take time out. And number four, don't push family and friends aside. Now we get wrapped up in our own world of blogging. We lock ourselves away. You know, for 2 years, my wife didn't have a clue what I was doing. She thought I'd gone mad, like a mad professor locked in a room, just typing at the keyboard. When really what I was doing is I was trying to build a business so that I got more time and money to spend with my family and friends. But what I was actually doing was the reverse of that, was the absolute opposite of that. I was pushing them away and pushing them aside. And I do feel guilty for the last 3 years that I have pretty much neglected my family and friends just to build this business. And it's something that if I look back on, I would certainly do different. Yes, I would find the time to write, but maybe I'd find the time where the wife and children was out and I was on my own and I could write. But what I tend to do is I waited till they got home and right when they wanted my attention, then I started writing, which was the wrong way to do it. So don't push your family and friends aside. And number five, talk to people. Find a community and a group that are doing similar things to you. Join a Discord group, join Facebook, comment on YouTube, talk to people who understand what blogging burnout is all about. There's nothing better than speaking to somebody who knows what you're going through, who's possibly gone through it before, who can be supported and give you some good practical information. And number six, remember why you started. Now I have this saying and I say it all the time to people. If you lose motivation, if you want to give up, just remember why you started this in the first place. There must be a reason why you started blogging or building a business. Maybe it's to get more money to spend on your family. Maybe you want to treat your children, have better holidays, get a new car. Whatever it may be, just remember when things get too tough and you want to give up, just remember why you started it in the first place. It's often enough to make me think, okay, right, I do need to push through because I want to get that better life for me and my family. And finally, number 7, stop being so hard on yourself. There's nobody more critical than yourself. I know I am very, very harsh on myself, and I've learned to let go a little bit. I've learned to stop striving for that perfection. My YouTube videos aren't the greatest. My editing and my sound quality isn't the best in the world. But do you know what? Does it really matter? It doesn't. You need to let go of that criticism of yourself. Start looking at some of the achievements you've done. Sit back and think where you was a year ago. How far have you come? Could your friends build a website and an online passive business? Probably doubt it, but you've done it. You've managed to achieve something. You're getting up, you're getting out of bed, and you are doing something positive each day. So stop being so hard on yourself. So these are just some of the things that I do to try and overcome blogger burnout. Like I say, I don't avoid it because it does hit me. I've just recently gone through a few weeks where I was a bit down and a bit unmotivated and unproductive, but you do get through it. It doesn't last forever. Remember, I am not a medical advisor, I'm not a doctor. If ever it gets to the point where you really think it is affecting you, do seek professional advice. Go see your local GP, doctor, and let them know what you're going through. There's no shame in asking for help, and there's no shame in reaching out to somebody for advice. And this week's YouTube channel shout out is John Moore. John is a UK affiliate marketer, far more experienced than me. He has built many websites. One particular gets millions of traffic each month, and he earns a substantial amount of income from it. So I suggest you go check his channel out. Currently, at the time of filming this, he has 606 subscribers and a lot of videos on there. He's also got some new channels where he reviews product reviews, and I highly recommend you go check it out. I learn a lot from John, and I think you will enjoy his channel too. So thanks for joining me. Please, if you like this video, do hit the like button. It does help me out. And subscribe to the channel if you like this video and you want to see more content around affiliate marketing, blogging, and my journey for building an online passive income. So thanks a lot. I'll see you in the next video.